Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead. Fuck it. Alright. Hello, it's Daresso again, and I'm posting for the last time about, at least this league, about the crit Chinsel Blast Rain Trapper. Someone asked me to post a video about how it transitions into a 6 link, and that's what this is about. On top of that, the prophecy changes are going live tomorrow, so I'm going to explain what changed and what you could expect. And really, prophecy, we didn't get nerfed at all. In fact, we got a few pretty decent buffs, and I'm going to go over that. Then I'm going to go into the changes that happen when you go from a 5 link to a 6 link and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to go into the maps, and you can navigate through all that down there. If you don't want to listen to me talk or you want to go to a certain point, all the shit's there, so you can just skip ahead. I did down Uber Atziri, though I died a lot. Yeah. I did. I think you could do it without dying a lot. Would I do it with this build over and over again? Probably not. But it's done. There's that. Bladefall Miner is likely a lot better for farming Uber. But a Bladefall Miner is a lot slower in clearing in general for maps and just a general play. So I prefer this build over that, to be honest. I did Twinned Abyss. The boss melted in less than 10 seconds, and that's what you saw at the beginning. We downed a Twin Colosseum, a Twin Shrine that was just alked randomly. We did die each time in Colosseum and Shrine once. Colosseum had some crazy crit shit going on the mods. I don't know if that's what killed me. That one was pretty bad. I'm not sure if I could have avoided that. And the Piety Shrine just one-shot me. She had added fire damage, and I didn't have max fire resist because it was the end of the league, and I didn't care. I also did a twin core. I did is the wrong word. I did most of a twin core, and we lost the rest of the portals on Malachai, his second form, and not many builds can do a twin core, so I'm not too butthurt about that. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into it with the prophecy changes. Okay, so with respect to how prophecy will change the build, we haven't been hit by any nerfs, and we've gained a bit of survivability and a chunk of damage from it. It hasn't changed all too much. So it's pretty much going to be the same. Again, a bit more survivability, a bit more damage. This chunk over here with chain reaction, which is essential, is the same. And some people say you shouldn't do this, you should go into something else like Assassin for the crit, because this can be done with Sunblast and 2 jewels, but then, you know, that's a lot to lose. You lose like a belt with, you know, potential for 120 health, and 2 jewels, which is, you know, 10% maximum life, and a lot of damage. On top of that, you get increased AoE, and the 8% increased damage for trap is honestly huge. It becomes 80% increased damage with 10 traps up, 88 with your full 11 that you can have, which is a lot of damage for just throwing the traps. Now, in Prophecy, we're going to be going this chunk over here. This is getting buffed, and I was thinking about going here and here, but I'd honestly prefer the survivability that comes from blind, because there's a 25% chance now as opposed to 10. And honestly, for packs, it makes no difference because we one-shot packs anyways, but for bosses, it'll be a lot easier to keep it up, and you'll have it up pretty much all the time because you get a lot of hits in with Blast Rain, especially with 4 traps with Blast Rain. But 30% increased damage pretty much perpetually is not bad. 6% reduced damage is not bad. And pretty much having blind up all the time is pretty good too. So that's all the changes for Prophecy that I have so far. So now I'll go into the build changes as you get more currency to buy some better items, get a 5 link and a 6 link. You'll see I'm level 91 now, so I gained about, 50 health since last time. Wrath leveled up, it was 19, and Herald Device leveled up. So I actually spec'd out my jewels into jewels that give health. We get to 4775 just from that. And we actually still have pretty much the same amount of damage. We lost 10 tooltip damage. And these jewels cost me the same amount. So I don't really know why I didn't do this to begin with. It's a good question. Whatever. Second thing is this ring never had any health on it at all. It had a lot of elemental damage. So I got one that had slightly less but had a lot of life. And that brings us up to 5,000. This is still on the 4 link right now, and we have still more damage than we had originally, because we had 4990. And essentially what this means is that you can run the 4 link setup and get to 5k life, because really the only thing we've changed here is getting those extra jewels and swapping out that ring for a life ring. I got a bit more life on my gloves, and I got elemental damage on my gloves to offset the one here. Now we'll throw on Atziri's step, and what you'll have is the same damage as before once you swapped out the ring. Yeah, now you have 5188, right? So once you upgrade to a higher rolled belly, I was at 33. This is a perfect roll belly, again, more expensive. You'll go to 5319, which is my end game level life. And when you go to the 6th link, your damage explodes, because we're throwing on trap and mind damage, which is another 38% more, bringing it to 7,200 before anything, which is more than we had before with concentrated effect on. So it's a huge jump. And when you throw on conc effect, you go to, 8,800. And once you throw down your 3 traps, you're at 10,200 without any charges going at all. It's a lot. And without any curse going, without Abyssal Cry going, without your Diamond Flask, 10,000 times 4 for 4 explosions, times 4 for 4 traps, times 2 for Chin Soul, times 1.5 for Point Blank. It's a shit ton of damage. And we melted Abyss with it. And I'm going to get into that right now. Just before we get into this, I did have 5,100 health here as opposed to 5,300 as I talked about before, because I hadn't gained the level here that unlocked the extra jewel socket that gave me the 5% more health. So you can skip ahead to any of the bosses for any of the maps you want on the timestamps below. As well, I've posted the links to the full runs if you wanted to see those. I'm just going to go over the bosses right now because the trash mobs were very easy. There's honestly not much to say about the Abyss bosses. This is the first time I've ever done Abyss. It went really well. They just kind of exploded. The whole fight took just under 10 seconds. The Colosseum fight, for the most part, was really easy as well. I did die once, and I'm honestly not sure I could have avoided it. It was kind of like a shitty circumstance. The sword spawned on top of me as I was throwing a trap, and I got hit by Daresso. None of them were dodged, and it happens. After that, the fight went relatively smoothly. At some point during the fight, I turned off Herald Device because I thought Abyssal Cry was on. So even though that happened, and I only popped Valgrace during the last maybe 5 seconds of the fight, it still went pretty well. Any boss that has phases is kind of crappy to fight because you can't just throw your Vial-Burning Arrows and your other traps at the same time and down them really quickly. You have to kind of plan around it, save your Vial-Burning Arrows for the opportune moments, and that's also why Core is so shitty to do on this build. As we're watching the rest of the fight, I'm just gonna really quickly say, if you're watching the full Colosseum video, the first maybe 2 minutes, I didn't have the game going, so it's just my beautiful face and blackness. So if you're into that, then enjoy it, and if not, then skip past the first 2 minutes. Shrine Piety was also twin, and it went, it went pretty well up until I died. And I died pretty much at the end of the fight. It was after one of her had died, and the second one just touched me with an arrow, and the map had added fire damage, and I didn't have max fire resist, and I exploded. On top of that, I wanted to make a portal, so naturally I pressed Valgrace instead and used that before the fight began at all, so that was not available to save me. Core went really well up until Malachai, just as it did before when we did the 4-link, except we didn't die to Maligaro at all this time, and they went down a lot easier than they did before. I didn't even use Burning Arrow against Shavronne. I did, however, use all 3 against Maligaro, because I really wanted to down him as quickly as possible, because I have negative 60 Chaos Resist. And the Doedre fight is just fucking boring, so I'm skipping it. The Malachai fight went pretty well up until the second form. I did die 1 time to the first form, and there's 2 of them, so there's a lot of traps on the screen, which really sucks to play when you have no life leech at all. Second form was no good. No good at all. I'd never do this again. There's way too much shit going on, and again, we have no life leech, no real sustain other than our flasks. It's just not a good time at all on someone who can't leech back anything. So that's pretty much all there is to this fight. I mean, I died a whole bunch of times in a row after the second organ, and we couldn't do it. But even being able to get this far in a twin core is honestly pretty impressive to me, and I'm okay with that. As well, I have absolutely no idea what happened on that last death. I feel like there was invisible shit on the ground. I have no idea how else I could have died. If you guys do know, please let me know. And finally, we're at Uber Atziri. I did finish this. I did finish it, but I died pretty much every time you could die while finishing it. That being said, I only think 2 of the deaths were really hard to avoid. The other ones were kind of stupid, and I'll get into them as they come along. The double Vaals are actually the ones that I am really bad at, and I don't know exactly how to get through this without dying, because Ball Lightning stun locks me regardless of whether I have a Topaz Flask up or not, and I don't have any Life Leech. I do think, though, that this is doable without dying, and I think essentially what we have to do is not let them cast Ball Lightning, which means kill them before they go down the first time, and I do think that's possible if we run proper Flask setups, like Atziri's Promise, as well as a Sulfur Flask for the increased damage, and I honestly think that'd be alright. I did not pop Val Grace on the Quartz Flask, but I have done that in the past when I was doing a 4-link run, or attempt, not a run, and it didn't work out, and I still got massacred just because of how many times Ball Lightning hits. The trio went really well up until the 3rd person. When I was doing this with a 4-link, I thought it might be better to leave the fire person alive. That turned out to be false, as you'll see soon, because pretty much what happens is he's really fast, and if he touches me, I'm dead. So I imagine if I had left the bleed guy alive, I probably could have done this deathless. I also only had 74 fire resist again, similar to why I died during the Shrine Piety. And yeah, so he just kind of touched me and I died, because I did die to the bleed person again when I was using the 4-link. So I made a bad call here. That being said, you can see, like, when it hits, when I do the damage really comes on hard. So I'm gonna leave you to watch me die again, and then kill him, and I'll catch up with you at Atziri. The Atziri fight was very easy. It was the easiest of the 3. In this run anyways. I feel like the trio probably would have been pretty simple had I left the bleeding guy alive. I did die once during the Atziri fight, but it was really dumb. I literally walked into one of those storm calls literally as it was being cast for no reason at all. You'll see it in a sec. Yeah, it was really dumb. I have no explanation for it. I don't know why I did it. This is why I don't play hardcore. Overall, though, the build is definitely viable for Uber Atziri, because I feel like more than half of the deaths were entirely my fault. The trio, all of them being because I chose the fire guy, and Atziri being because I am really stupid. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, we melted the Twin Abyss map in bosses, in 10 seconds. So the damage scales immensely, and you can get to 5k life with the 4-link and still have the damage that we had in the last video where we massacred Atziri and Daresso, and I imagine we would have no problem killing Kaom either. And when you finally scale up into a 6-link, the damage is immensely higher. So yeah, that's pretty much the build, and we're going to get even more powerful in Prophecy. The links again are all down below to all the videos, as well as the previous video if you missed that, and the build guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please stay tuned, because I will be making more videos soon. Likely have a different build though, unless there's a drastic change in the near future in the build, because I've pretty much exhausted everything I wanted to say. You have a good idea of what the strengths and the weaknesses are. I'm going to personally start with this build in Prophecy because it's really cheap to get going and it can go really far for a really small budget, and it scales up really well as well. If you do have any questions about the build, please don't hesitate to ask me either on YouTube or the Reddit thread, or the forum post. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for all your support, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the build and the video.